Welcome back, everyone, to Sade Sports Talk. I just want to let everyone know that I appreciate y'all for tuning in every week. You can catch my podcast on YouTube, and if you are on my YouTube channel, make sure you like, comment, share, and subscribe with your friends. You can also catch my podcast on Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Google Podcasts. So what I want to first get into to open the show is a big news story of the week. Draymond Green of the Golden State Warriors has been suspended indefinitely after a hit on Joseph Nurkic. I mean, Draymond Green, he has a history of doing dirty plays. Um, he was, I believe he was ejected in the finals for hitting LeBron James in the groin. He's kicked Steven Adams in the groin before. He's he's done a lot of stuff. A lot of really like dirty plays in the league that's totally unnecessary. And what's suspended him now, just he literally just swung on Joseph Nurkic for no reason. He was saying that Nurkic was holding him, but that was not the case. He literally turned around and swung on that man. He's already been ejected 3 times this season, and then he recently just served a 5-game suspension on November 14th after putting Rudy Gobert in a headlock. So I don't know what's going on in Draymond Green's personal life or anything like that, but considering the fact that there's a pattern of this behavior, there may be some kind of deep rooted issue. I don't know. I'm just speculating, but hopefully this time he learns a lesson since he's been suspended indefinitely. Steve Kerr came out and said, hopefully Draymond gets, the help that he needs and, stuff like that. And he's a really big part of that Warriors team, and I don't think he thinks about how his actions and him being suspended definitely affects the team. So, I mean, you know, he's got a history of this, so hopefully now he'll finally learn his lesson and get the help he, needs. So he doesn't have to worry about, maybe one day being out of the league completely. So, Draymond, I mean, I don't know what you got going on, man, but I hope you, figure everything out. So moving on to the hometown highlights. First up, the Houston Texans lost 30-6 to the New York Jets. CJ Stroud had one of his worst games of the season, going 10 of 23 and had a season low of 91 yards passing. He left in the fourth quarter with 6 minutes and 38 seconds remaining after falling and hitting his head hard on the turf. The offense only produced 135 total yards and was just 1 of 12 on third downs. The Texans next travel to Tennessee to face the Titans in the division showdown, and pretty much a must-win if we plan on keeping our playoff hopes alive. I was really surprised that the um, Texans lost this game. I really thought this would have been a game we would have won against the Jets, considering the fact that they have been struggling. CJ Stroud, like I said, he didn't look his best, and then, now he's in concussion protocol. So I seen a story today that he will not be the starting QB in Tennessee because, he's still in concussion protocol. So Case Keenum will be starting. So, and I mean, Tennessee just came off a big win against Miami, and Tennessee is at home. So, I mean, I don't know. The playoffs now kind of look a little bleak, especially with the Colts. They just picked up a big win today against the Steelers. So I think we might be sitting in third place right now. So, yeah. I mean, hopefully, Case Keenum could lead us to, beat the Titans. And then, hopefully CJ Stroud will be back for the next game. And then, maybe we can possibly make a late playoff push. But at the current moment, things do look a little bleak, but I have hopes that maybe we can sneak in. Next up, the Houston Rockets beat the Memphis Grizzlies 103-96 with Dylan Brooks shining in his return to Memphis. He put on the show, scoring 24 of his 26 points in the second half and scored a dagger 3 to secure the win for the Rockets. The Rockets had a rough first half shooting under 30% and were down 55-45 going into halftime, but they came out a different team after the break with Brooks leading the way. The Rockets next face the Milwaukee Bucks on Monday. And, yeah, I mean, this was a great win. For us to be down double digits at halftime, and then, we come back in the second half on the road, to win this game. Dylan Brooks, really, you know, let the charge in the second half to, pull us back. So I think I wasn't too sure about how his how signing him was going to be beneficial, because he had a little reputation in Memphis. He was trying to get on LeBron's skin and stuff like that, but he's showing that he was definitely worth the money. And I think Memphis really did mess up, letting him go, because now they're really struggling. They don't have John Morant and all that stuff. So I'm really happy. If Dylan Brooks keep this up, and hopefully our team will take this and improve better, on the road and throughout the season. I definitely think we could be in the playoffs. So, good things coming in, Rockets basketball. Moving on to women's soccer, the UEFA Women's Champions League. Barcelona remained perfect in their group, in their Champions League defense, picking up a 6-0 win over Rosengard, even without star players Alexi Putellas and Asia Oswala. Barca's first of the night was an own goal by Jessica Wick, who turned the ball into her net after a cross from Anita Bonmati. Salma Pariello got the second after hitting a shot from inside the box, then set up Patri Gujaro to get the third before halftime. Bonmati got the team's fourth after she chipped the goalkeeper from a tight angle. In the 73rd minute, Barca were awarded a penalty, and Mariana Caladenti converted to give them a 5-0 lead. Martina Fernandez got the last of the night in stoppage time, and all of 6 goals came from different players, and Barcelona are now unbeaten since December 7th of 2022. This Barcelona women's team, every time I cover them and talk about them, they are kicking somebody's ass. Like, in all honesty, like, they're whooping teams 6-0, 7-0, 8-0. They're not getting scored on. They got star players all around the box. Anita Bonmati was the Women's Player of the Year. I believe it was this year. So, I mean, I wouldn't want to face this Barcelona team. I would be scared to face them just because of, like, they have, in this particular game, 6 different goals. All 6 different goals came from different players. That's very, like, rare that happens. So the fact that literally anybody on the team could score at any given point, that's, like, showing, like, a very talented team. And then also they're bossing the Liga F. They are unbeaten in that. So, yeah, Barcelona, don't ever want to face them. And very good, talented team. Lyon picked up a 3-1 win to remain perfect in the group stage. OL registered 24 shots compared to Braun, who only had 7. Kalidou Diani opened the scoring in the 6th minute after picking up misplaced pass, pushed into the box, and then let out a shot that hit the far left side of the net. Ada Herzberg then doubled the score after taking the ball off the defender to roll it home. She now has 61 goals in 64 appearances. Diani got her brace in the 48th minute after Lyon hit on the counterattack, and she blazed through the Braun defense to score. Braun pulled a consolation goal in the 73rd minute after Justine Keelan was unmarked in the box. That goal was the first that Lyon have conceded in the group stage since October of 2022. So another good team. Olympique Lyon looking very good too. The fact that Ada Herzberg has scored 61 goals in 64 appearances, that's an incredible, like, goal scoring record. So that means she's literally averaging a goal, pretty much 1 goal in every single game that she's appeared in the season. And OL, this is their competition. They are record holders. So they've won this, like, competition, like, a lot. And between them and Barcelona, I would love to see a final between those two, because Barcelona be going through these teams, and then Lyon be beating teams left and right. So I think that would be a great final. I would love to see them at least some point match up in the Champions League. Lastly, to round out Champions League action, Chelsea versus BK Häcken. Chelsea split the points with BK Häcken in a 0-0 draw. Chelsea controlled the game with 21 attempts on goal, only 5 on target, and had 71% possession. Sam Kerr had 2 chances on goal, but one went off the bar and another ruled for offside. This draw comes off the back of a disappointing loss to Arsenal in the Women's Super League. Chelsea are now second in the table, 2 points behind BK Häcken. I mean, I would have thought since Chelsea were pretty much humbled by Arsenal in the Women's Super League that they would bounce back in the Champions League, and I thought they would be upset, and I never even heard of BK Häcken. So, I would have thought that Chelsea would have came out here and won like 6-7-0. So the fact that they didn't even get a no goal at all, but had 21 attempts on goal, that's, the players definitely didn't have their shooting boots on. But I'm used to Chelsea, especially this women's team, like, winning. So, I mean, I don't think it's cause for concern yet, but I just would have think that in the game, this draw almost feels like a loss. Because now you're 2 points behind this team, and now you got to kind of make up some ground. So, hopefully, Chelsea, hopefully they get together, pick up a little momentum this weekend in the Women's Super League, and yeah, hopefully, they get back to being the Chelsea they were before. So going to the Women's Super League, Arsenal versus Tottenham. Tottenham ended Arsenal's unbeaten run of 7 games to grab all 3 points in a narrow 1-0 win in the North London Derby. The long goal came in the 59th minute when Martha Thomas slotted it home after the Arsenal defense aligned Celine Bizet to play the ball into Thomas. Arsenal pushed for an equalizer, but Tottenham's defense held on for the smash and grab win. Arsenal missed the chance to move to the top of the table, and it gives Chelsea a chance to extend their lead to 3 points. Arsenal next game is after the international break, is against Watford in the FA Cup, while Tottenham face Sheffield United. I mean, this game really surprised me. I mean, considering the fact that Arsenal just beat Chelsea 4-1 and then they lose 1-0 to their local rivals, Tottenham, is very interesting. It's crazy how in sports, like, it's really a week-to-week thing. Like, 1 minute you can be on this high, and then the next, like, you get humbled, and then you lose, and then, you gotta get that momentum back up. But, I mean, this sucks for Arsenal, considering the fact that they've been unbeaten in 7 games, and they were looking like, the team to really challenge Chelsea for the title this season. But now they lose some ground, and now Chelsea has a chance, to take a little cushion lead going into the international break. So, yeah. But I think Arsenal definitely bounce back. I think they have too much talent in their team to let this loss, really affect them and define their season. But it is, like, a very, sucky loss to get, especially when it's to your city rivals. Lastly, to wind out women's soccer, Manchester United versus Liverpool. In a battle of 4th versus 5th in the table, United host Liverpool and are looking to extend their win streak in the league to 3, while Liverpool have just 1 win in their last 4. Last season when these two met, Man United beat Liverpool in both meetings by an aggregate score of 7-0. This season, they met in the Women's League Cup. United knocked Liverpool out with a 1-0 win, with forward Nikita Perez getting a lone goal. Kickoff of this game is at 6:15 a.m. and will be streaming on Paramount Plus. I think this is going to be a good one. From just going off of past history, I think more than likely seems like United is probably going to win this one. I mean, they beat Liverpool last season 7-0 over 2 games. So, I mean, yeah. I got United in this one. I think they have I think they have better overall players and better overall squad than Liverpool. That would be too much for them to handle. But it's gonna be a good game. Hopefully, like, United will let the goals fly. Moving on to men's soccer, Bayern Munich beat Manchester United 1-0 to knock United out of European competition. United needed a win to get to the UEFA Europa League, but in the 70th minute, Kingsley Coman got the lone goal to break United fans' hearts. That goal was the 15th conceded by United in the Champions League, which was the most a Premier League team have gave up in the group stage. Next up for United, they are on the road to face Liverpool in the Premier League on Sunday. You can catch that on NBC at 10:30 a.m. while Bayern Munich hosts VfB Stuttgart in the Bundesliga. Kickoff for that is at 12:30 p.m. Sunday and will be streaming on ESPN Plus. Manchester United. Oh man, I don't know. I I I'm just running out of things to say about y'all. I I I don't know. I just don't understand. This group was easily one of the ones where you could have finished second in. Bayern Munich, of course, would have finished top because Bayern Munich. And then you were also in a group that had FC Copenhagen and Galatasaray, and you finished at the bottom of the group. That is an embarrassment. And then you concede 15 goals in the group stage. And now you have the record of as the only Premier League team to give up that many in that point of the competition. You couldn't even secure Europa League football. You're out of Europe completely. You're definitely not. Well, I can't even say that because you are kind of up there in the title race in the Premier League. But this is very disappointing. When last season, you had Cristiano Ronaldo to carry you through to the knockout rounds, and then now he's obviously gone, and you don't have that player anymore who can just go and win y'all games. I mean, very disappointing for United to be knocked out of European competition. So you better hope you finish the league in the top 4 so you can get it again next season. Staying in UEFA Champions League, Borussia Dortmund and PSG played to a 1-1 draw where both teams qualified for the round of 16. Dortmund finished at the top of the table. PSG finished second. Dortmund took the lead in the 52nd minute when Karim Adeyemi hit a shot inside the 6-yard box after a mistake from Hakimi. PSG were able to get an equalizer 3 minutes later after Zaire Emery drilled a shot from outside the box to get PSG to the next round. So, if it wasn't for that goal by Emery, PSG wouldn't have been in the round of 16, which is crazy to think. I mean, yes, this was a very challenging group. You had Dortmund, you had Newcastle, and you had Milan, but PSG still, for the money they spent and the players they have Mbappe. I would have thought that they would have finished at the top of the group. Now they finished second, which means they're going to have to face a tougher opponent, which, could, and depending on who that is, they could probably very well be out again in the round of 16. I don't know. I just don't understand with PSG. You guys were literally on the brink of getting knocked out in the group stage, and y'all got saved, by this young player. And I don't know what's going on with PSG. I mean, they spend all this money and get all these players, but yet in the Champions League, they don't have one. They have made it to a final, but didn't win. So it's just they keep trying to buy it versus, just trying to get it the hard way, build the talent and, the culture and all that. So, I don't know. It's just really crazy how some of these teams have been this season. Moving on to, in the same group, Newcastle United versus AC Milan. Milan defeated Newcastle 2-1 to secure Europa League football and send Newcastle out of European competition completely. Joelinton gave Newcastle the lead after smashing a half volley into the top corner from the edge of the box. Christian Pulisic got the equalizer before the hour mark after a clever pass from Olivier Giroud. Pulisic hit it home just under the crossbar. Both teams went back and forth pushing for a winner, and Milan got it in the 83rd minute after Samuel Chukwueze took advantage of Newcastle, pushing players forward and hit them on the counterattack, where he then hit a curling left-footed shot to end Newcastle's European dream. I mean, I would have loved to have seen Milan, in the round of 16, but I mean, at least they still got European football with the Europa League. Newcastle, man, I also wanted to see them go through just because, it would have been a fairy tale thing, a team like Newcastle, who's normally a mid of the table, Premier League team, could be in the round of 16. That would have also been great to see. But, it sucks for Newcastle, but, congrats to Milan for at least still being able to have, European football. Moving on to the Premier League, Chelsea beat Sheffield United 2-0 to end their two-game losing streak in the Premier League. Cole Palmer was the man of the match with having a hand in both goals. He got the opener for Chelsea in the 54th minute after Raheem Sterling sent the low cross into the box and Palmer arrived to fire it home from the 6-yard box, which was his sixth league goal of the season. He then turned provider 7 minutes later, setting up Nicholas Jackson with a decisive cross from the right side, who finished from close range. Chelsea next hosts Newcastle United in the EFL Cup on Tuesday, while Sheffield United travels to Aston Villa on Friday. About time I see Chelsea, win a game. Really happy to see after a disappointing loss against Manchester. Then I think last week we lost to Everton. So I'm glad to be back in the win column. Cole Palmer really looking like one of the signings of the summer. He's really been, the main man to go to. Been coming up really clutch. And, a couple of our summer signings are starting to get hefty. Like Christopher Nkukuk and Romeo Lavia. They're all getting healthy and stuff like that. So hopefully, with the incorporation of them, Chelsea, takes this win and keep, trucking on and moving back up towards the table. Lastly, to round out men's soccer in La Liga, Barcelona and Valencia played out to a 1-1 draw, and it extends Barcelona's winless run to 3 matches across all competitions. João Felix opened the scoring in the 55th minute after Frankie de Jong pulled off a Travella, which found Rafinha, who set up Felix at the back post. Valencia then leveled in the 70th minute after a banger from Hugo Gulliman hit the top right corner from outside the box. Barcelona are now 4 points off second-place rivals Real Madrid and 6 points off top of the table Granola. Barcelona next hosts Almeria on Wednesday, while Valencia travel to Madrid to face Rayo Vallecano. Barcelona, another team I'm surprised that's having kind of like a up-and-down season. They lost on their last match day in the Champions League. They still qualified, but you don't want to lose like your last game, especially to a team. I think they play Royal Antwerp. Yeah, and then now they're losing ground in La Liga. They're 4 points off Real Madrid and 6 points off the top. They need to get it together. It seems like, I don't know if they're lacking confidence or if they just don't believe in Xavi's tactics or what, but I don't know, this Barcelona just doesn't look like, from the Barcelona before, even though Barcelona was really just all Messi, way back when, but Barcelona has, talented quality players in all positions, so, for them to, give up a goal in the 70th minute and then not be able to, get a winner, that's a little, I'm pretty sure Xavi's feeling the heat. And, if he doesn't pull it together, I think a lot of people will be calling for him to be sacked. But hopefully, he gets his team right and it doesn't have to come to that. All right, so moving on to the NBA, we got the Lakers versus the Spurs. The Lakers beat the Spurs 122-119 to hand San Antonio their 18th straight loss, which is a franchise record. That's crazy. 18 straight losses. At that point, I would just quit playing. I would just stop. I'll just be done. Anthony Davis had another strong game after dominating in the in-season tournament final. He finished the night with 37 points and 10 rebounds. On the other side, Victor Wembanyama had a big game with 30 points, 13 rebounds, and 6 blocks, and became the first rookie since Tim Duncan to accomplish such a stat line. The Lakers were without LeBron James, who sat out because of a left calf injury. The Spurs almost escaped with the win by outscoring the Lakers 45-30 in the fourth quarter, but Wembanyama fouled out for the first time in his career for sticking out his leg on a missed three-pointer with 8 seconds remaining and the Lakers having a 3-point lead. So, I'm really surprised the Lakers were able to pick up a win without LeBron James. Anthony Davis actually finally stepped up and, took over, having such a monster game with the double-double. And then Wembanyama was definitely right there with them. And it's really crazy that the Spurs have lost 18 straight games when they have a player like Wembanyama. It doesn't seem like, they don't really try to play through him. You know, I feel like I don't know what's going on with Greg Popovich. I don't know if he's still the man that needs to be in charge. I think they probably need to get a new voice in there, cause you don't want to be wasting these years of Wembanyama. You kind of want to get him like the players that need to be around him that fit his skill set and play through him, cause he is the franchise and he's y'all's ticket to get back to what the Spurs were before when they were winning championships with Tim Duncan and Ginobili and Tony Parker and when Kawhi Leonard was there. So yeah, I mean good win for the Lakers, but you know hopefully the Spurs get it together and pick up some wins. The Nets beat the Suns 116-112 to spoil the debut of Phoenix Big Three of Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, and Bradley Beal. Cam Thomas led the Nets with 24 points, and Mikal Bridges added 21 with his return to the desert. The Suns had an 88-86 lead going to the fourth, but the Nets took the lead back with 10 minutes left and never looked back. Spencer Dinwiddie hit a three to give the Nets a 112-106 lead with less than 2 minutes to go. The Suns were able to cut the lead down to 2 with 28 seconds left, but Cam Thomas hit 2 clutch free throws within just 3 seconds left to go to secure the victory for the Nets, who have won 7 of their past 9. I mean, yeah, so this is the first time Cam Thomas and Mikal Bridges have been back in Arizona since, they traded for Kevin Durant. And yeah, looks like KD's former team, the Nets, got the last laugh over them, beating them at home. And it's crazy to think that this was the debut of, KD, D-Book, and Bradley Beal all playing together. Everybody's been dealing with some injuries, but particularly Bradley Beal hasn't been, with the team like that. So, yeah, hopefully, I want to see more of this big three. Hopefully everyone be healthy, because I can't wait to see, them all functioning, together. I think there's going to be something really special. And then the Nets, they got a decent little team. Definitely probably might be in the playoffs, probably like that 5 or 6 seed. So, yeah, it was nice to see, the former players showing them like, hey, this is what you traded for. Moving on to the Warriors versus the Clippers. The Clippers beat the Warriors 121-113 to pick up their sixth straight win. James Harden scored his 25,000th point while also contributing with 28 points, 15 assists, and 7 rebounds. The Clippers were without Paul George, but that didn't stop them from holding off the Warriors to improve to 5-0 at home in December. The Warriors, meanwhile, like I said previously, were without Draymond for this game after he was suspended indefinitely. Klay Thompson dropped the season-high 30 points and hit 8 3-pointers, while Steph Curry only had 17 points on 5 of 17 shooting, as the Warriors went winless on the road trip and have lost 12 of 16 games. The Clippers. I remember in one of my previous podcasts, I said the Clippers, they weren't going to do anything. The paper clips, it wasn't going to work out because James Harden, Paul George, Russell Westbrook, and Kawhi Leonard, they all need the ball. But Russ was humbled enough to move to the bench, which probably definitely did help. And now the team's clicking. They picked up their 6th straight win and 5-0. In the month of December, so that's really good to see. I'm curious to see, how the rest of the season plays out, and if this team keeps it up, then I can't wait to see what they do in the playoffs. I didn't think that the 4 of them will work out, but so far it's working. Ty Lue is working his magic and, getting the right rotations and stuff right, so I can't wait to see, what else they do this season. And then on the flip side for the Warriors, I mean, the Warriors got a lot of issues going on. I don't really know, what they have going on. I mean, good for Klay Thompson. He dropped the season high 30 points, but, I mean, he hasn't been the same, since coming off an injury. And Steph Curry had a poor shooting night. And, yeah, the Warriors just have, like, a lot of issues going on. Then Draymond being suspended, definitely doesn't help. So, I mean, I don't know what the Warriors are going to be for the rest of the season. They might be a play-in team, but then I could also see them missing the playoffs completely. That would definitely suck because with a player like Steph Curry, you want to see him in the playoffs. So only time will tell what's going to happen with the Warriors. The Pacers versus the Bucks. Giannis Antetokounmpo had a historic night, putting up 64 points as the Bucks beat the Pacers 140-126 to get revenge for knocking them out in the semis of the in-season tournament. Giannis went 20 of 28 from the field and made 24 of 32 free throws with 14 rebounds. He became the first player in NBA history to make at least 20 field goals and 20 free throws in a game while shooting 70% on each. Damian Lillard added 21 points and hit a three-pointer with 8 minutes left in the third to move past Kyle Korver in fifth place for all-time three-pointers made. And then after the game, there was like a backstage, I don't even know what you call it. I wouldn't say brawl, but I guess misunderstanding or something, because Giannis wanted the game ball, but the Pacers, a rookie on the Pacers, scored his first points of his NBA career, so the Pacers gave the game ball to him, and then Giannis was upset and was chasing, I guess chasing whoever down the tunnel to try to get the ball back or whatever. So, I mean, his night was kind of really spoiled by that from when I seen the videos and stuff, but to put up 64 points, that is really impressive. And then shooting 70% on your field goals and your free throws, that's really good. And then, congrats to Damian Lillard. He's now 5th on the all-time list for three-pointers made. Yeah. This Bucks team, I'm liking this Giannis and Damian Lillard duo. And, if Giannis keeps playing like this, definitely see, the Bucks having the number one spot for the playoffs. And yeah, congrats Giannis on a historic night. So to run out the NBA, the Celtics get their 12th straight win at home, beating the Cavs 116-107. Jason Tatum led the team with 27 points and Jaylen Brown added 22. All Celtics starters had double-digit points in a double-digit lead that was cut down to 3 going into the fourth quarter. Tatum took over with the fadeaway and step-back 3, giving Boston a 101-91 lead with 8.5 minutes to go. Cleveland then tried to get back into the game, cutting the lead down to after a Karis LeVert bucket, but Drew Holiday and Tatum added to the lead with less than 2 minutes to go. Boston shot 56% in the first half and led 65-54 at the break. The Celtics are another good team that's looking really good with that Kristaps Porzingis addition. Jason Tatum's playing really well. Jaylen Brown's playing very well. Drew Holiday, being occasional bucket getter, lockdown defender. Very good trade for them as well. And they get their 12th straight win at home. Yeah, definitely playing at TD Garden is definitely a fortress. And the Celtics and the Bucks, I feel like, are right there neck and neck with each other. I definitely could see the Eastern Conference semis coming down between those two. And I can't wait for when these two match up again in the regular season. Cleveland, on the other hand, definitely struggling. I heard Donovan Mitchell, I think, is available in trade talks. So I think Cleveland look like they might kind of blow it up here a little bit. So I'm curious to see what they're going to do with him and the rest of the team. Are they going to tank or are they going to blow everything up and just try to restart? I'm curious to see what they're going to do. So moving on to winners and whiffs. So I had a losing week this week. I went 2 for 3. So first up, the Ravens versus the Rams. I had the Ravens in this game, and they won 37-31 thanks to a 76-yard punt return by Tylan Wallace in overtime. The Ravens had the lead with 1:16 left to go in the fourth quarter after Lamar Jackson and Zay Flowers connected on the 21-yard pass and the 2-point conversion. Matthew Stafford then led the Rams down the field to inside the 40, and kicker Lucas Haversick hit a 36-yard field goal with 7 seconds left to send the game to OT. The Rams got the ball first in overtime and had a quick 3-and-out to start, which then forced them to punt, which led to the Ravens win. I was a little worried because, it looked like the Rams might steal this one, but, the Ravens, they always somehow find some kind of way to win. And on this one, it was the special teams who came up clutch. So, yeah, definitely, the Ravens definitely are looking like they're going to get the number one seed. I think it just depends on what it happens with the Dolphins or whatever like that. But if the Ravens keep winning, they're definitely going to get that. And definitely a team you don't want to see in the playoffs. I think they're going to make some real noise. The 49ers versus the Seahawks. I had the 49ers in this one, and they beat division rival Seattle 28-16 to move to 10-3. Brock Purdy threw for a career best of 368 yards and also had 2 TD passes. He became the fourth player to complete at least 70% of his passes in 7 straight games. The 49ers were able to score a touchdown in each quarter. And I think I also seen a stat that the 49ers had beat Seattle in, I believe, in 10 straight meetings. So that means they pretty much have Seattle's number. And Seattle is not the same Seattle as, from before with the Legion of Boom and Russell Wilson was there. They're a completely different team now, a little younger. Got Geno Smith at QB, who's not, the best, but definitely can manage a game. But on the flip side, Brock Purdy, I mean, when you have a embarrassment of riches, like you have George Kittle, Christian McCaffrey, Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, and all these players on offense, it's very, it seems like, getting the ball to them would be very easy. And he just makes it look very effortless. And, the fact that this is his career best of 368 yards is amazing feat. And considering the fact that he was, the last pick of the draft, I'm really, glad to see, someone who gets the opportunity and they take it and is really just doing really special things. So definitely think the 49ers are going to be the team to beat in the NFC. The Bills versus the Chiefs. I picked the Chiefs in this one and they dropped their second straight game, losing 20-17. The Chiefs thought they had the winning touchdown after Patrick Mahomes threw to Travis Kelce, who then lateraled the ball to Kadarius Toney, who ran 24 yards into the end zone. The TD was then unfortunately waved off after Kadarius Toney was lined up offsides at the beginning of the play. So, yeah, the ending of this game was crazy. I've never seen Patrick Mahomes go off like he did. He was very upset. Like, teammates had to hold him back because the play was called up for offsides. And then in his post-game interview, he was saying that it sucked that a play was waved off like that, like a moment of greatness like that for a player like Kelce. But, I mean, you should be upset at Tony. He's the one who lined up offsides. And they say that normally referees will, tell the player, like, hey, you need to back up or something like that. So there's, like, the whole controversy with that. But, I mean, in certain situations, the Chiefs do have calls that are very soft that really shouldn't be calls, and they get them. So the fact that they are very upset that they didn't get this one, even though your player, he was lined up offside, I mean, it was a great play. I really would have loved if it would have counted, but you really gotta stay focused in the game at all times. Like, you have to realize clearly that you're lining above, the ball, and you gotta pay attention for things like that. You gotta remember those things. So, and then, because of the comments, head coach Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes were both fined. I think Patrick Mahomes was fined like $50K for the criticizing of the refs, and then Andy Reid was like fined like $100K, which I'm pretty sure is nothing to them. But I mean, I don't really know what's going on with the Chiefs. They haven't really been playing well this season. I think it's really just down to the wide receiver core. But, I mean, it doesn't look like it's going to be the Arrowhead Invitational this year. But they're still going to be in the playoffs, and they're still probably a team you don't want to see because of the fact, they have Patrick Mahomes. But I think now is definitely, like, the time to beat them while they're at probably, like, the worst they're going to be at. The Eagles versus the Cowboys. I had the Eagles in this one, and they got blown out in their second straight loss, losing 33-13 to the Cowboys, who picked up their 15th consecutive home victory. And I was dumb enough to make a bet with my coworker. Ended up losing. $70, unfortunately, and I've been hearing about it ever since. And yeah, probably don't pick. So I learned my lesson. Don't pick against the Cowboys at home because more than likely they're gonna win. 15 consecutive home victories. That probably should have been the red flag right there. The Eagles' only touchdown of the game was a 42nd yard fumble recovery by Jalen Carter. Dak Prescott threw for 2 TDs in the first half, and the Cowboys had a 24-6 lead going to halftime. Second half was the Brandon Aubrey show after he kicked 3 field goals in the second half to go 30 for 30 to start his career. He also became the first kicker to hit at least 2 field goals of at least 59 yards. I mean, I guess this was like the Cowboys' revenge game, after they felt like they should have beat the Eagles in their previous meeting. Yeah, I mean, the Cowboys, very team that's really hot right now, very high on momentum. And, especially at home, they're a completely different beast. Eagles, on the other hand, I'm not sure what's going on. I really do think they missed their previous offensive coordinator, Shane Steichen, who's currently the coach of the Indianapolis Colts. And, yeah, Jalen Hurts doesn't look the same. The offense doesn't really look the same. Getting blown out by the Cowboys. They got blown out by the 49ers. So, I mean, I really don't know what's going on with the Eagles. And then they face the Seahawks on Monday Night Football, and they've lost to them, I believe, in 10 straight meetings. So I think if they lose to the Seahawks, I definitely think it's time to hit the panic button. So I'm really hoping that, they pull it together. Lastly, to round out winners and whiffs, Titans versus the Dolphins. I picked the Dolphins in this one, and they somehow blew a 14-point lead late in the fourth quarter, losing 28-27. Raheem Mostert had a 5-yard run to give the Dolphins a 27-13 lead with 4 minutes and 34 seconds remaining in the fourth quarter. Will Levis and DeAndre Hopkins connected on a 3-yard pass, and the Titans also converted for 2 points to cut the lead to 27-21 with 2 minutes and 40 seconds remaining. The Dolphins got the ball back but weren't able to extend their lead with going 3-and-out and giving the ball right back to the Titans. Will Levis then played Superman again, marching his team down the field to then set up Derrick Henry's go-ahead 3-yard touchdown run. Miami had a second chance to win the game, but Tua got sacked on fourth down to secure the win for the Titans, who picked up their first road win of the season. Tyreek Hill, he left the game in the second quarter and stayed out the third quarter. Then he came back a little bit in the fourth quarter. And, he obviously wasn't the same. I believe he injured his ankle. And you can tell the Dolphins are not the same offense when he's not in the team. They still have players, though. They have Jalen Waddle. They have the running backs, so. But Tua, he had the chance, but he got sacked on fourth down. And the fact that the Dolphins were 18-point favorites in this game and losing by 1 point, they let the Titans come back. They had a 14-point lead in the fourth quarter, and they somehow blew it. I really thought this would have been a slam dunk for the Dolphins, so now this definitely does hinder their chances of potentially getting the number 1 seed. And then also depends on what they do with the Jets on Sunday. So last segment of the day, game changer must-see matchups in picks. First up, New York Jets versus the Miami Dolphins. I'm taking the Jets in this one. I think their confidence is really high after picking up a big win against Houston last weekend and Zach Wilson having one of his best games in the Jets uniform. The Dolphins are reeling after the loss to Tennessee on Monday night, which knocked them back from getting the number 1 seed, as I just said before. Tyreek Hill didn't practice all week because of his ankle injury suffered in that game. And their center, Connor Williams, is out for the season with a torn ACL, along with a lot of other key players being questionable. You can catch this game at 12 p.m. on CBS and Paramount Plus or StreamEats.com for free. So, this is a division game. I feel like the Dolphins need to win more than the Jets, because the Jets, I don't believe they're still in playoff contention, but I think if they pick up the win here, they still possibly could be. I don't know. The AFC is really crazy right now. It's very tight on who's in the hunt and who can get in and stuff like that. But I think It depends. I think this game depends on if Tyreek Hill is gonna play or not. If but then again, I feel like even if he does play, he's an ankle injury. He's a speedster. He likes to run and does a lot of cuts and stuff like that. I just don't think he's gonna be the same. And also the Dolphins, they don't have their star center, so Quentin Williams is definitely gonna eat, at that line, and I could definitely see the Jets pulling off the upset here. I would not be surprised at all. So I'm gonna take them in this one. Next up, the Bears versus the Browns. I'm taking the Bears in this one and to pick up their third straight win. Justin Fields and the defense have been on a heater lately, and the weather is supposed to be rainy, which means it's going to be a running game, which the Bears are fourth in the league at doing so. So I think it's going to be a Justin Fields win the game with your legs kind of day. The Browns do have the number one overall defense, but with Myles Garrett battling a shoulder injury, I don't think he's going to be as dominant. Coverage of this game is at 12 p.m. on Fox and can be caught on StreamEast.com. Yeah, I mean, the Browns have been, they've been hanging in there. They're very much in the playoff hunt as well. Joe Flacco, he was just on his couch, about a couple weeks ago. Now he's already, throwing TD passes and looking very good. But when I check the weather, it's gonna be a running game. And the Bears have the running back to do so than Justin Fields. He's very dangerous with his legs. So I'm gonna take, the Bears to get this win. And yeah. I don't think the Browns defense is gonna be able to stop, Justin Fields or the run game. Concerning the fact that, like I said, Myles Garrett is battling an injury, so I think the Bears can definitely steal away this win. So the Cowboys versus the Bills. I went back and forth in this one all week because I was very conflicted. The Bills need the win. The Cowboys need the win. But I'm gonna take the Bills in this one. They are at home, and I think they are more desperate for this one because they are fighting for a playoff spot. The Cowboys are going to get into the playoffs regardless. Even if they lose this game, they'll be 10-4, which means they're still right there in the playoffs. They just won't be hosting any playoff game. But the Cowboys, they are a completely different team on the road. They've lost on the road. They've lost to the Cardinals, the Eagles, and the 49ers. And the only loss they looked impressive in was against the Eagles. Plus, the weather in Buffalo is supposed to be cold and rainy, which is a factor because Dallas plays in the dome and the Bills are used to varying weather situations. So coverage of this game starts at 3:25 p.m. and will be on Fox and StreamEast.com. But yeah, I'm not even being honest, even really set solely on the Bills because this does really look like a go either way game. Because with the Bills, Josh Allen, he does have the tendency to be a turnover machine, and in a game like this, he might try to force things, and it might lead to interceptions. And the Cowboys defense, Darren Bland, has set a record for most pick sixes. Plus, Stephon Gilmore is more than likely going to be covering Stephon Diggs, and he shut down AJ Brown last week, so very possibly he could neutralize Diggs. So Gabe Davis is definitely going to be the X factor for the Bills in their run game. But yeah, I'm gonna go with the Bills just because I believe they are definitely fighting for their playoff lives, and it would really suck not to see a QB like Josh Allen in the playoffs. So I'm backing the Bills in this one, but I still very much could see it going either way. The Giants versus the Saints. I'm taking the Saints in this one. They are at home and in a three-way tie for the NFC South, so a win would definitely help them in trying to secure the division. This was another one I went back and forth on because of the Giants' improved play, with Tommy DeVito being the new cult hero, leading them to a three-game win streak. Um, it really is a go anywhere anyway game, but the Superdome does get loud, and I think with the fans being the 12th man, it will push them to victory. The Saints defense has given up a lot of points in the past couple weeks to some teams. So Tommy DeVito could very much well have a career game, but I'm gonna take the better quarterback in this one, which I guess you could say is Derek Carr, and I think he has um the better team and weapons. So, but yeah, but I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if the Giants pull off the win either. I would actually love to see it. Tommy DeVito, being picking up a fourth straight win because he's becoming like you know, uh, a very like important person like with the Giants. Like the whole team has trust in him and is behind him, and I really love to see that like an undrafted player, getting all this love and stuff. But yeah, but I'm gonna go with the Saints, and if they pick up the win here, also depending on what happens between Tampa Bay and the Packers, I'm gonna cover that in a second. Um, Definitely got a chance to take control of the division, which is just awful. Lastly, to round out everything, the Buccaneers versus the Packers. I'm taking the Packers in this one to bounce back after the disappointing loss to the Giants on Monday. The Packers have won 14 of the past 15 in the regular season against the Bucks. Baker Mayfield has six road games with 2+ TD passes, which is the most in the NFL. He has also lost at Lambeau for the past 2 years as a member of the Browns and the Rams. Jordan Love has been coming to his own. He's thrown 13 TDs and one interception in Green Bay's 6 wins. So I'm taking the Packers. They're at home, and I expect them to bounce back. After losing to the Giants in disappointing fashion. Um, and the odds are against Baker. He has lost in Lambeau, like I said, for the past 2 years. But he is a very capable quarterback. But in this situation, I think coaching will matter, and Matt LaFleur is a better coach than Todd Bowles. So that's really why I'm taking Green Bay in this one. Plus, I think their defense will be able to. The defense played very good when I watched them against the play against Kansas City. So, hopefully, I think they'll definitely be able to put some pressure on, Baker Mayfield, maybe neutralize him. And yeah, I think Green Bay will definitely take the win in this one. So that is it for that's all I have for y'all today. Make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe on my YouTube, and just keep listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, and Google Podcasts. And again, I appreciate you guys all for your support, and just keep tuning in next week. Thank you guys so much.